What's good, y'all? My name is Rorvis Paradox, aka Docs Brando, and I'd like to welcome you all to another episode of Rorvis Reviews. We got another great one for you. I got another great one for you installed. So, sit back, relax as I get to talk to you about this drummer episode. Make sure you guys are helping me with this 500 subscriber goal. I know we can do this. So, like, subscribe, share content with others, and put other people on game about the channel. Make sure you already hit that notification bell for the channel. Follow me on IG at DocsBrando25 to stay up to date. With all that being said, let's get into it. Now, the first film I want to talk about is 2002's Drumline, directed by Charles Stone III. Now, this film is a staple in my household and many other black households. I would say this is like one of the quintessential black films. This film, it, uh, it just encapsulates a lot of greatness in black culture, but I'll get further into that when talking about that in the highlights. Uh, Something notable about Charles Stone III is some movies in his catalog, which include Paid in Full and Mr. 3000, as well as not so highly but pretty fun movie in The Underdogs starring Snoop Dogg. But this film is really great in my opinion. Some people would say that it's formulaic, but I don't really see an issue with that. But let me go ahead and start talking about the film itself. Now, the film stars Nick Cannon as Devin Miles, a highly talented drummer from New York, and you could tell that he's a very cocky, confident type of guy. He knows how great he is, and he's a ladies' man, things of that nature. He just oozes charisma, and he has the honor to be able to attend Atlanta A&T, a historically black college, and with the goals in mind of being on the drum line. And if there's one thing to know about HBCUs, they take their marching band seriously. It's a real event when watching them perform. So he's going to Atlanta A&T, and from there you get to see his journey as he works his way to the top. And at Atlanta A&T, this is where he meets his love interest, um Layla, and this is where he meets his rival in a sense in Sean, one of the upperclassmen on the drum line. And him, Sean, and Devin are just button heads because Devin's just a cocky asshole, and Sean is just a dickhead just because he doesn't like how Devin acts, and he feels like he's disruptive, and he doesn't have no respect for anyone. So their butting heads in that rivalry is making them the stars of the film. They're making their actions go on and kind of make each other try to like one up each other. And then this is going on while they also have their conductor, Dr. Lee, and he's kind of a old soul in a sense. He really wants to focus on making sure everybody in his band understands the fundamentals, make sure they're going to be able to excel in different areas in life. And he has the president of the school like kind of on his neck because he wants them to start winning, because Dr. Lee doesn't really want to play popular music. He wants to kind of stick to like the old school music, like with Earth, Wind, and Fire and all those types of bands, because I understand where he's coming from, because those bands have live instrumentation. So all of them knew how to play the music that was going on, that the music that was being used. So that type of music is very special and unique and just sounds phenomenal. So I can understand why you would have an issue with that. But because of this lack of respect for popular music, the rival school, Morris Brown, has been winning the BET Classic, where all the marching bands compete to see who is the best one of the year. And because of them not winning, Dr. Lee and the band could be out the next year. So he has to make some adjustments, and so kind, but he's still very stubborn. And while this is going on, he's trying to educate, people like Devin, who, he's so cocky that he doesn't really understand that, the culture of the band, because their creed is one band, one sound. So if one person's stinking it up, they all stinking it up. When they all one late, they all late. So when you're together, when you're united and everything's going great, everyone's great. And Devin is having a hard time trying to understand that. And he's trying to one up Sean in one scene, and Dr. Lee had to enlighten him in the sense that you have to learn how to follow before you can lead. You can't just be trying to one up the upperclassmen just cause we're all trying to understand what the upperclassmen is trying to teach, or this would just go on in different. This is not just about upperclassmen, of the type of lowerclassmen. This is also about, this could be interpreted different aspects of life as well. Um, then Devin and Sean's rivalry takes a boiling point where their first performance as a band, Devin is disrespecting Sean's solo. So Sean told him, "Hey, you want the solo? Go ahead." And he's hoping that Devin falls under pressure where he can just kind of get him to break, to get him in check. So the time comes up, and Sean is looking at him while they're all performing. He's like, "You gonna take the solo?" And Devin is just, he won't move. So this is when Sean just steps up and starts performing solo, and then Devin starts doing the solo as well, overshadows him, and then as soon as they're done with the solo, he continues on and showboats with the and that ends up getting the attention of the president. So the president loves that. Dr. Lee is mad at both Devin and Sean. So now it's a whole bunch of things going on. And then later on, this is where we get a very crucial plot point where we find out that Devin cannot read music, which is a important part, like one of the rules in Dr. Lee's band. You have to be able to read music. And Sean exposes him for this, and this gets him taken off the drum line. So now Devin is on the sideline, and they're still kind of playing this very basic music that has, Dr. Lee getting more and more in trouble. And honestly, that's where I want to stop when talk about the film. I think this is something that y'all should check out for yourselves. I kind of want to get into more of the highlights of the film. And one of the highlights for sure is the performances of all the bands, not just this band, but there's multiple bands in the film. And I think they do a great job of portraying what the culture is at HBCUs with their bands. I think every performance is magnificent, from the choreography of the bands, and this took a lot of work. They think bands, being in a band is kind of easy, but being in a band is like being literally on a sports team. So there's a lot that goes into learning and performing, and I think they did a great job of highlighting that. Another one would be just the culture of HBCUs. I think this is one of the first films that I got to see when I was younger that even talked about HBCU. I never knew what one was, but I think it did a great job of kind of highlighting the culture, highlight what they represent and what they try to strive for. I know it's very small in the aspects of what the movie is about, with how they're trying to really focus on the bands of HBCUs, but I think just the cultural impact of HBCUs, being able to go to school with people that look like you, is something very magnificent. I think the storyline is great. I know earlier I said that some people say this is formulaic, but if it's formulated, it's one of the greatest formulaic movies. I think from start to finish, it does everything well. So when the climax comes, when the different interactions are going on, the camera, everything just blends perfectly together, and I enjoy this film so much. Another thing I would want to get into is the conclusion of the film. I think it has one of the greatest finales that I've seen. I enjoy it so much, but I seen a review where they were saying that it's kind of like a sports movie, and it definitely feels like it. It feels very victorious, and you leave watching the film very happy. I believe that the performances from the actors are great as well, the interaction. So I gotta shout out Nick Cannon as Devin Miles. I thought about this today, and the way his character is really like Tom Cruise's Maverick from Top Gun. Very cocky, so not a team player. And it takes some learning to realize, you got to be able to work together to strive for success and understanding your flaws. And I think Nick King is not, the performance is not to that exact level, but it's definitely off of that tree. So I gotta give him credit for that. This is probably my favorite Nick Cannon performance, and he doesn't have that many good performances, so give him his credit right here. Zoe Saldana as Layla, I think she does a great job as the love interest. She has her flaws, and you get to really see some layers, a little bit of layers with her. This movie doesn't really do too much with her, but I think it does just enough with her as a character. And that's just a great moment right there. Mm. Orlando Jones as Dr. Lee definitely gives off, the vibes of being like an old soul who just like is truly passionate about his students, his band member, his band, his band students. He's somebody that's just striving for excellency as best as he can and how he knows he can, and he doesn't want them to like fall off once they leave here. He wants them to, not just be great at the instruments that they play, but he wants them to be, great members of society and like learn the leadership skills, learn the team members, the team aspect. All these things matter to him. So I think his interactions and what he says in the film are very quotable. So I really enjoy his moments in the film. Lastly, I have to give credit to Leonard Roberts as Sean. He's just, when you first meet him, he's like so strict, so uptight. But when he kind of lets his guard down a bit, kind of like really cools off a bit, he's really a cool, funny guy. And he's just he just cares a lot about the band, and the way that Devin comes off, it just rubs him the wrong way. And then that's how they just end up butting heads, and seeing them go at it is just always, it's just great film. It's just great work for the film. So all in all, in my personal opinion, I'm giving this 5 stars. I know some people are going to look at me crazy for giving it 5 stars, but again, this is my critique, this is my review. And for a film that may be formulaic, that may have a simple plot, in a sense, it excels, and the performance is great, the camera work is great, everything about this film I highly enjoyed. And of course, I've seen this movie a whole bunch of times, so is there some bias? Maybe, but I haven't watched this movie in a while, and I came back to it as an adult with my own ideas for films, and it still met my criteria. There's different types of films can be 5 stars. They all don't gotta be Doom. They can all be different types of films that can all be great. So don't let a film like this deter you from enjoying different types of cinema. Now, the next film I want to talk about is 2014's Whiplash, directed by Damien Chazelle. This film was an emotional roller coaster. It's a film that I did not expect to have me just so stressed the fuck out for the main character. Like I was, oh my god. I came in, like, even I ended up watching this movie with my dad. He kind of came in and started watching the rest of the movie with me, and like he stood to his feet like DJ Khaled, and I'm over here with my hands on my head, just stressed at the finale. But let's talk about the movie. So the film stars Miles Teller as Andrew Neiman. He is a drummer at a art school, and he is just trying to strive for greatness and be like the drummers that influenced him when he was growing up. So he's at this music school, ends up getting recruited by this talented and kind of feared conductor. That's name is Terrence Fletcher, played by J.K. Simmons. And the thing about Fletcher is, in one word, is aura, for better or for worse. It's just like everyone wants his respect, wants to earn the right to play for him. So like when he comes into Andrew's class to recruit somebody for his band, just like one note will make him just be like, ugh, no. Like he's so like harsh, and everyone just looks so defeated when he doesn't like them. And then when Andrew joins his band, you know, there's a pressure he feels just being in there. He's not even the first drummer. So like even at that position he feels just like how harsh it can be. Then we get to see, the first real interaction between Fletcher and Andrew. It's just one-on-one, and Fletcher is like really nice for some reason. This is different from what we seen very early. And he's just like, hey, what's your background? You know, what's your dad do? Where's your mom in life? Who inspired you? Yada yada yada. And he's like, oh yeah, that's nice, that's nice. And then it's like as soon as Andrew gets the chance to try to play and he messes up, Fletcher is on his ass. He berates him. He utilizes like it's basically like everything Andrew told him about his life, he weaponized immediately. It was disgusting. It was horrifying. And it's like this is supposed to be a mentor figure, and I'm telling you, this dude is like villainous. He's so cutthroat. It's insane to watch. So he's just trying to like live up to this. He's practicing his ass off to his hands bleed. Andrew is going through so much work, so much pressure just to live up the expectation of what Fletcher wants. And honestly, that's all I want to say, because this film is really psychological. This is an experience that you have to have for yourself. And I truly mean that with this film. There's a lot of films I've said that you have to experience for yourself. If you haven't watched Whiplash, you have to watch this, because it's a fucking trip. But let me get into the highlights of the film. I think one of the biggest highlights is the music selection of the film. This film, the soundtrack, the score, you want to play it, but it's like in like real time. Like I remember first day back at work this week, I was playing Hank Levy's Whiplash, and as soon as one of my coworkers walked in, she knew instantly what it was, and she was just vibing too. And then I got into Caravan as well, that was composed by Juwan Tizzle and Duke Ellington, and just like all the other songs in the film, just like it feels so thematic. It just everything is just phenomenal. So the selection, the score, everything was just great. So I have to tip my hat off to that. I think that the performances from the actors in this film, like the core film, like this is one of the best like two-man lead performance I've seen in a while between Andrew Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons. This J.K. Simmons' best work. I don't think he's had anything better like this. It feels like he's a villain sometimes, and it's just like I said, it's just aura. Like watching him work is just crazy, and how he's able to manipulate people and just like, you just this is just a phenomenal performance from J.K. Simmons as Terrence Fletcher. Andrew Miles Teller as Andrew Newman this is his best performance ever, and I've seen him in a couple other films, but yeah, no, nothing is topping this right now until he gets the opportunity to work with another writer and director. But this right here, that duo right there, is great work. It's great chemistry. The other person I would have to tip my hat off to is Paul Reiser as Jim Newman. This is Andrew's father, and he's just very comforting, trying to just like be there for his son as best he can. And he's one of those parents that would do anything for his son that's necessary. This film is just the camera work, the plot, the story, everything is just so phenomenal. And the ending, like the conclusion of this film, is epic. Like you just mind blowing. This is like one of my favorite endings, because it's just like you feel so conflicted, going through so many emotions after the journey that we just been on with Andrew. So you have to experience this for yourself. This film is easily 5 stars. I don't want to argue with anybody. I don't care what y'all gotta say. This right here is peak cinema. If you have a problem with that, say something in the comments and we can have a debate. Now, Something that I found really interesting about these two films is how they're so polar opposites in a way. Um, with Drumline, you have a character in Devin who's so confident, who's so talented, who, doesn't really have any worries. But like the only thing he has on his shoulder is like, he had to do it on his own. Something I didn't talk about that was a plot point in the film is that he was raised by a single mother, and it's not like his father was dead or in jail or anything. He was just like, just having babies with women, and he wasn't in his life. And he when he graduated, he went to him and said, I made it, I'm getting out of the hood. I'm going to be able to perform at one of the best historically black colleges on scholarship, and I did it on my own. I did it without you, you know. And you have him having an instructor like Dr. Lee, who is really caring about his whole band, and his understanding on how to work with them individually, and is not trying to berate them. He just wants them to be of a certain caliber, of a certain standard for them own selves. And then you get the polar opposite with Whiplash. You getting a character like Andrew, who's like, socially awkward, who's not as confident in his talent, and his talent is kind of shaky. It feels like, I don't know how long he's been drumming, but it's like compared to Devin, it's like, night and day. And then you have an instructor like Fletcher who berates him, who is on his ass, and the way he doesn't just like work with the whole band. It's like an individual attack on each of them. And it's so crazy how different these films are, but they're both exciting in a way. They both just draw you into how all these characters are working, how the music is going to sound, how they're going to perform. And I think that's very interesting. I think these films are just great to watch hand in hand. And I definitely want y'all to kind of check these films out the exact same way if y'all can. So, now I have to ask, did you agree what I said about these films? What did you think about Drumline? Is it a 5 star like I said? Is it 3 stars? Is it, what is it to you? And that goes along with Whiplash. Did you enjoy the performances, the songs that they utilized in the score? Did you like the performances from J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller? Um, what did y'all like about these films? What did y'all not like about these films? Drop all that in the comments below. I'm always interested in hearing y'all thoughts on these films that I'm talking about. And if y'all have suggestions about films, that's what it's here for. Start doing it now before I start charging a fee of some kind. Maybe I need a Patreon to make y'all join in and help a brother out. Um, Again, 500 subscribers is the goal, so please help your boy out with that. This has been Rorvis Reviews with Docs Brando, and I'll see you again for another episode next week. Peace.